Oh,
Yeah, that was a pretty dope episode, guys. I really was feeling this one tonight.
it's
How
a
you
lot of
guys feel about it?
emotions, man. It's a lot of emotions right now, bro. I mean, you know, I know how I've been. How you guys been and all this stuff? Is this it's a lot.
Yeah, it's real out here. Honestly,
Uh,
I kind of feel like this is gonna be one of those black afterthoughts where we're just kind of sitting. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, bro.
There's just a lot going on right now.
It's a
I
lot.
mean, so we just got in a curfew tonight here in DC. I know y'all got a curfew in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
9
o'clock.
p.m.
Yeah, curfew. I think Brian, y'all got a curfew in LA, right?
6 p.m.
I
Wow,
mean,
6.
bro, like think about this, right? Like we are under curfew. I mean, we were not here just 2 days ago, and we're in curfew.
Right.
I just got a text of some people showing me some video over here in one of the neighborhoods, where they like bust down some department stores and just straight looted.
Wow, really?
And you know, and that once again, that's not what that's not what the majority of the energy is like. But it's just,
Right.
Yeah,
I think you're getting a lot of this energy also from well-intentioned people because they just don't know how else to get people's attention.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really heavy. It's really heavy, and this situation just really takes me back to the fear episode that we did when I talked to you guys about what was I was afraid of, and one of the things I was afraid of was not making it home, and
Yeah.
this really just
Took it to another level, huh?
you take it to another level and just really solidify my fears, but not just mine, but my wife. My wife has been very emotional right now over everything that's going on, not just from uh, the death of the guy, but also from just the violence and the unrest that's going on. It's a lot of emotions that people have to reconcile
That's the
uh,
thing.
on an
It's
hourly
it's
basis.
it's almost forcing America, and let me just keep it. Let's keep it at home, right? I think it's forcing Black America to really like deal with the trauma, bro. Like I was talking to one of my best friends last night, man, and he was just being extremely honest. And I'm gonna just take it there, man. He was being extremely honest that on one side he is completely, you know, torn up and frustrated and beyond, enraged with the reality that we face as Black men. But he's also been deeply scarred and injured, you know, in some capacity, in some certain ways, by certain people in his life that unfortunately look like him, and he doesn't know how to feel right now because he's just got so many different emotions, and it just made me think about so many different people, man. Like this the time that we're in right now is really pushing people to like have to face some stuff that they maybe have been pushing down, you know, um, face some life experiences that have torn them up, or face some real truths that they may not have. Like a lot of people haven't even acknowledged racism and how real it is in America.
Yeah.
But this right here, bro, I mean, what other choice do you have? And
Yeah.
if it's your first time really waking up to it, like, what do you do with that?
I don't know, man. I think here's one of the fears of this conversation. I have a hard time believing that our kids are going to benefit from our actions with this particular fight.
Hmm.
Like in my hearts of hearts, I really think that at best our grandkids might be able to. And I know that's sad to think that way, and it's very pessimistic to think that way. But
What do you mean? I want to know what you mean. I want you to clarify. Do you mean like
The fight. Like it's hard for me to not think that 5 years from now we're going to be having the same conversation.
Yeah, that's fair.
15 years from now.
I mean, but think about our grandparents, though, bro. Like, our grandparents are still, those of us fortunate to still have them. I mean, my grandmother's 90, and we were just talking about it the other day. She's like, I can't believe some of the things that I'm seeing, but she's 90, and she's saying that.
Right.
And she's seen some stuff. So,
and she's seeing some things, bro.
I think, I feel like that's all a part of it, though. I mean, it's interesting, because this is where I don't want to do the collapse our pain and our trauma and our experiences into one thing, because this is the Black Men Think podcast, and we're talking about George Floyd, and we're talking about, the Breonna Taylors, we're talking about the Christian Coopers, we're talking about Ahmaud Arbery's, we're talking about these folks. But then I do reflect on, so Brian, you were talking about on this episode, I've been watching too very closely, like in the UK and in Hong Kong and in other places where there's been some solidarity and some protests that have been popping up. And you look and you're like, man, they just know how to do it over there. But then you're like, oh yeah, they've been around for centuries.
Yeah.
Like we are, I mean, and I'm not trying to say this to diminish anything that we're talking about, but we're still a really, 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 really young nation.
Right.
And Black people are only liberated sub 70 years.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
wow.
Basically, our grandparents and possibly some of our parents
were pioneers in that
are the generation where it still happened to
crazy,
them,
bro.
Yeah. No, our parents.
To that point, JD, to that point, obviously you're right in that. But I only say that to say that it's all incremental, and I think that is, for me, where I told y'all before, that's why we got to be in this fight. Because if marginal gains, I mean, I don't even say marginal, if such progression took place post-civil rights, post-Jim Crow to now, and that's a generation and a half-ish, just think about what we can do. So I would only just temper that by saying, not necessarily being pessimistic, but just saying, like, a lot can actually change in a short period of time if that's what we're focused on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's real.
I just don't want the agenda to be lost. I mean, that's my biggest concern for this whole situation. Because I don't want the next come up and we start focusing on that. I don't know if you noticed that you haven't said anything about the coronavirus. Like, all these people gathering in these big crowds, that hasn't even been mentioned from any media that I've been watching. So first it was coronavirus a couple weeks, prior to this whole police brutality. Now we have this. They're not even saying anything about the coronavirus. So I don't want the next biggest thing and we lose focus on our agenda.
No, that's real. Definitely.
What about you, B?
Man, it's tough for me because I'm just thinking about it's like Chris said, president, money, ownership. Like, we're still not even generations in on ownership or education. We still first generation, maybe second generation in a lot of these families. So we've done a lot with what we have. And like Corey said, we just can't lose focus. Can't lose focus, man. We gotta continue to push forward. When you think about it, like Chris said, sub 70 years, a lot has been accomplished. And I think that's why I always say, like, those stories have to consistently be told. Everybody else thinks it's fascinating for history. I think we gotta take that same step. Like, it's not important that today in sports history, such and such made a layup in 10 seconds. If that's important, then so is somebody this day as an African American graduating college or being the first political whatever. Like, we got to start telling stories more and intentionally, but we also got to make sure we tell people the reason why we telling these stories.
Ooh, that's real what you just said. I don't know. You just dropped a whole podcast episode. No, for real. You said the idea that we celebrate such, I will say trivial. I get it because I'm a sports fan. I got, all that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as you're saying, but you're just saying, like, at the end of the day, at any given moment, we celebrate such minor things that have some significance to others, such as sports, such as weather, such as like a very even obscure historical fact.
Right.
Bro, I just listening to you and Brian talk, it really made me think, right? Bro, I am legit the first person on my mother's side of family to have a college degree. Number one. On my father's side of the family, I'm number two. And so when you think about it like that, it puts it in perspective like, oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's climbing a ladder.
It's climbing, bro. Like, I mean, just from an educational standpoint, it really puts in perspective like, man, that's crazy to think that my lineage is one college, well, more now.
Yeah.
But at the time, one college graduate.
Wow.
And that's
not for a lot of us in our community. I'm not going to sit here and do broad generalizations, but that's just the reality. I mean, my uncle was just saying it the other day. I mean, on my mom's side, everyone went to college. My grandparents didn't. My grandfather started, but then went to the military, came back home, that type of thing. But on my dad's side, some, but not really. And so, like, once again, it's kind of this, first generation, kind of half, one and a half. It's not solidified. Like our existence in all this stuff is not necessarily solidified. So, I think that for me, though, I think the point that I want to make from all this, though, that's what keeps me optimistic, because it'd be one thing. So, like, if I were in the UK and you've literally gone through monarchies and you've gone through like centuries of real
and then nothing changed.
Nothing changed, it's not gonna change.
Right.
It's gonna be a long time to get some
it's like when you put it in that perspective, it does produce hope in a weird way.
Weird. It's a weird way.
But no, I mean, honestly, like it is a very, I mean, it's a heightened time. Like there's a ton of, there's a ton of discord and rage for a reason, a very true reason. But in all of that, I'm thankful that that's what I'm seeing. Like, I'm thankful that people care that much, like I'm thankful that, it's enough is enough, and that we've hit that point where we're willing we about that life. We're willing to take it there because you don't have a choice but give us humanity. Like, that's great to see, man. And I applaud it. I especially applaud it out of maybe a generation of people who have probably had it in some ways a lot easier than some of the generations before them. And they on the front lines, bro. Like they've been in the thick of it, because they're like, no, this is not what we're about to do. And that's powerful, man. It truly is.
Yeah, these are the kids we call entitled and lazy, right?
Right.
That's what the media said.
And they're carrying the charge.
I think the thing about it is we just got to not become complacent. Right. And complacent in, you can do it in two different ways. One could be like, as you were saying, JD, is, I really don't see it happening in my kids' life, or, maybe my grandkids. Sometimes that can make you complacent and you might not push through or push as hard, because subconsciously that's in the back of your mind, So I think the thing about it is we just gotta, take these moments that come up, definitely, unfortunately, and really use them to move the movement forward.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And that's really, at the end of the day, I think that's really what that podcast was about, really, was how can we take what's happening now and continue to move forward. Yes, this might happen again, but we need to keep pushing forward no matter what. And don't lose that hope. Because once you lose that hope, then you have chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good conversation, though, guys.
Yeah,
It
man.
really was, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see where this goes. We just know that there has to be permanency about the results of this. This can't turn into a generation of people. And I mean, generation is the wrong word there. But what we're seeing, what we're receiving from the public view, cannot turn into we had fun protesting, and now we're back to square one.
Right.
Right. This has to evoke change, and not just. I don't know. This is different. It's just different, man. Like there has to be. This is a crossroads, in my opinion.
Yeah, this one
For
definitely
America.
feels different.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, it does feel different. The protests feel different.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation around it feels different. The people coming to the plate look different.
Right.
So hopefully it is different.
Yeah.
Is what I hope for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But guys, as always, it's great to really just connect and really just talk about
Yeah, it's therapeutic.
Yeah, and give, like I said, the part of the Black Afterthoughts is to give our audience a glimpse into the behind the scenes and how we think about things. Give them a little bit of a deeper insight. And so we hope that this has done that. JD, do you by any chance have any comments or questions that you want to read from any of our fans?
Let me check. I wasn't prepared at the moment.
Come on, man. This is what I do. We do this every time I'm on here. Ain't nothing changed.
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say in that moment, though. I want us to a little noodle on this, and I'm, I respect them. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan, and I know this is the Black Men Think podcast, but I just thought that the words were still very telling for what we are seeing right now and experiencing. But JFK said, "Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable."
Wow.
Yeah. We'll leave with that, man. We ain't have any new comments this week anyway.
It is what it is.
That was a really powerful statement. So guys,
that was it right there.
I'm telling you. But guys, until next time, this is the Black Afterthought. Please keep subscribing, liking, commenting, and we'll definitely respond to you as we can.
Yeah, and before you go, Tori, y'all really share, man. Share with us how you feeling right now. I think it's you just got to say it sometimes. So we want to hear from you. We want to make sure that your mental state is in a place that can cope during this time, because I think we got to strap in for the long haul. This ain't gonna be a quick process, and it's gonna take some foundation and some just some grounding to get through. But we're here for you, man. Like straight up, like we know.
Yeah.
We know what you're going through because we are Black men. So you're not alone. You're not alone.
And with that, see you next time. Peace.
Marathon continues.
The Black Men Think podcast.